And we're back. I've made videos on religion before, but I found this to be a very interesting topic. Any videos I've made on religion in the past, I'll just put at the end of the video through annotations. This topic is actually based on a few studies that suggest that Christians are happier than atheists. And I'm here to call bullshit on these articles because, like many articles that are apparently scientifically proven or factually proven or whatever, unfortunately, especially today, not many of them actually are. Unfortunately, people have tried to... We live in a society, in a generation, where opinions are not only more important than facts, but that opinions literally mean more than facts, and people try to pass them off as such. Even when an article apparently looks official or by the government or some kind of medical study or something like that, it really looks official. Often, even then, it's the personal narrative or the opinion of the author who wrote it. So these days you can't really trust anything. Or at the very least, things were studied in a biased way, or they weren't studied in depth enough and they only presented their findings as is. Which is why technically all studies are flawed. All of them. Because most studies are done by statistics or by surveys of people across the world. However, most of them only do about 10,000 people, maybe a bit more, a bit less, but that's the average. However, there's over 6 billion in the world. This is the entire reason why stats in general change every single year, or crime stats or something like that. Stats always change because you always survey or look at different people. There's 6 billion people. Doing 10,000 people may, that's what people consider to be a fact when they look at a stat. But you can't really accept that as fact because that's only 10,000 people out of 6 billion of them. So this is why a lot of time facts in general or just studies are flawed, even when they look official. And you can't really trust anything. I talked about this in an old FTR I did called Human Ignorance. I'll post that as well. Anyway, so this one was called Are Christians Happier Than Atheists? Well, many articles do suggest that Christians are happier. Well, I'm going to be using my usual flawless logic to debunk these studies, or at least prove that they were done poorly. Some reasons why Christians may be happier or think they're happier is because, 1, they have a faith to believe in which gives them comfort, and they're also people who need something to believe in. If they don't, they generally feel unhappy. This is why cults and religion are basically the same thing, because cults function by offering something to believe in order to give purpose to people who struggle to find one. That's exactly what religion does. If you are into something that's giving you a false hope into your life or your reality or your future, naturally you will be happier because you're believing something that's not true, but you're believing in it and it gives you comfort. This is one of the biggest reasons why religious people might be happier. Another thing that makes religious people happy is part of their own ignorance. Most religious people believe that because they're religious, they are perfect people and can do no wrong. Obviously, if you're a person who thinks that you are without flaw or don't make mistakes, you're obviously going to be a happy person. Religious people have lower suicide rates, but this is most likely because they consider suicide a sin. Also because they believe only God can take one's life. Also, in general, people are less likely to commit suicide if they are surrounded by a community of people, like religious people are within their church communities. In fact, there's multiple studies which show that atheists who live in countries where religious people are the majority, like the US, are less happy and more stressed. Now, this is very obvious and doesn't need a study. Obviously, people who are agnostic or atheist, aka intelligent, are going to be less happy and a lot more stressed around religious people who are, of course, very ignorant and are always criticizing other people and putting people down for their beliefs that rely on facts as opposed to their stupid fantasy. But even though it's obvious, there are still studies to prove it too. Also, since religious people are very oblivious to reality, naturally, they're happier. Atheists are generally realists, and reality is very negative. This is why atheists are often less happy. You all know ignorance is bliss. Well, it's highly true. Also, being atheist or even agnostic is often isolating, which of course contributes to being less happy. Just like with any group of people who criticize anyone who doesn't agree with everything they say, religious families will criticize or even disown other family members who dare disagree with their fairy tale beliefs. and thus isolating them. Yet another reason why being atheist or agnostic can make a person less happy. Building on the community aspect, if you are part of a community where you unfortunately know a lot of religious people, and with religious people being very judgmental, they often try to make you feel that there's something wrong with you, or lacking morals, even though you're right and most likely have more morals, as most religious people don't have morals. They base their morals on religion, just because you're not religious, which of course will make you feel bad. But religious people will remain happy because most of them believe they're morally superior in their delusion. This concept reminds me of when Steve Harvey said that it's impossible to have morals unless you're religious. Steve Harvey is a very ignorant person to believe this, but he's not the only one. Many religious people believe this, and I made a video about this too, which I'll also link at the end. However, despite this, being smart, atheist or agnostic, is also very freeing. You free yourself from the confines of a religious cult, following their beliefs and rules, not being allowed to question anything, being told you're sent to hell if you disagree, etc. As an atheist or agnostic, you free yourself from these negative religious things. And although there are reasons why atheists may be less happy, there's also reasons why atheists can be more happy. And this is one of the most important ones, freeing your mind to independent and critical thinking. However, despite all this, there's also studies that show that countries like Norway, Sweden, Denmark, and the Netherlands are actually the 4 happiest countries in the world. And they are within the top 5 least religious countries. However, we can't say for sure that their happiness is a direct reflection of religion or other factors as well. In summary though, even if atheists or agnostics were less happy, it has nothing to do with our lack of religion. Atheists and agnostics are smart and thus get pushed away. They focus on reality, which is negative. They question things, which is viewed as evil to religious people. They are isolated because of religious people being judgmental. And because of all these reasons, they also feel stressed, sad, and anxious. As you can see from that list, atheists and agnostics are not less happy because we don't have religion. It's because of how we're treated by religious people. So it's not the lack of religion itself, it's religious people that cause the problem. But anyway, if any of you are wondering why I keep mentioning agnostics, it's because agnostics are not religious or atheist. I'm agnostic. And the point of being agnostic is being intelligent and asking questions. Agnostics don't deny or believe in God. Me, for instance, I believe in a higher power, but only in a spiritual sense. Not religious, and no, they're not the same thing. But I also don't believe in God the way it's preached in church, because that's all made up for the purpose of brainwashing people like a cult. So those are all the factors that I was able to come up with for why these studies that show religious people to be happier is very biased and at the very least incorrect. Because you can't just, find Christians and be like, oh, you're happier, so there you go, proven. There's many factors that contribute to why atheists or agnostics might be unhappy, and factors as to why they may be happy. And there's also studies that prove the complete opposite, like about the least religious countries being the happiest. So, let me know what you think. Do you believe in that study? Do you still believe in it after listening to this video? And did your mind change? And also, did you know about the study before? I'd be interested to know what you think. And also, I want to know something as well. For people who are watching this video, if you are atheist, agnostic, or religious, let me know if you ever changed. Like, were you religious before and now you're agnostic, or are you agnostic before and now you're religious? Let me know if you are, and if you were happier or less happy before you switched over. I'd be very interested to know your personal stories. From my experience, it seems that most people become happier after they leave religion. That seems to be the general consensus, like 70% of the time. Anyway, I know that a lot of people don't give a shit about my videos and the truth that I speak, and therefore don't care to support this channel. But if you do agree with this video and support me and my channel in general, I also have a Patreon link down below and probably next to my head somewhere by this point. I would really appreciate any donation, even as little as $1 per month. And thank you for watching.